Welcome to the Soul Work, a weekly show where we look at a strategy, a process, a tool, a technique, or a thought for your spiritual growth. If you're new and you're joining us for the very first time, let me introduce myself. My name is Gina. I'm a spiritual teacher, creator of Soul Quest, and the LGBTQ advocate within the spiritual world. In this episode, let's talk about anxiety. I want to talk to you about social anxiety. What is social anxiety? Social anxiety is where you feel anxious about going into a situation or when you're actually in a situation with other people. You may experience this whilst you're in a social situation, so out with your friends. You may experience it at work. You may experience it at home, or even when you're going to pick the kids up from school. There's something that triggers you. Your ego gets triggered. And you go from being in loving, nurturing-based thoughts into fear-based thoughts, which are thoughts coming from your ego. You may notice that you overthink. You start to go through, what if this happens and what if that happens? You may even have worries about judgments from other people and how you're coming across to those people. People have mentioned that social anxiety makes them feel worried, nervous, they forget their words, they stumble. Sometimes even they notice their voice quivers. And what's going on in that moment is it's all in your head. It's all going on in your head. Your ego has been triggered and you've moved into fear-based thoughts. I want to talk to you very quickly about a situation that happened to me whilst I was speaking at an event. I went into the event and I was milling around. I was talking to the audience members beforehand, having a really good conversation with people, and a gentleman came over to me. He asked me how I was doing, and in conversation he asked me how I was feeling about going up on stage, because he noticed that he gets really anxious when he goes up on stage. And I thought about it for a moment, and I said to him that I was a little bit anxious this time because I've started to notice that my voice quivers when I'm talking. When I'm on stage, my voice has started to quiver, and it feels like it's resounding in my head. It's like really, really obvious, and I start to worry about what other people think of me and how that's coming across. And he said to me, I totally understand that. I also feel that, so here's what I want to do. As I'm listening to you, I'll keep a lookout for that. And after, I'll come over and we'll have a conversation, and I'll let you know if I could hear your voice quivering. During the speech, I noticed that my voice was quivering, I felt it, and I started to go through the usual pattern of fear-based thoughts. My ego had kicked in and I was starting to go down the, how am I coming across? What are people thinking of me? Afterwards, the gentleman kept to his word. He came up to me and we had a really great conversation about his experience of my speech. He said he didn't notice once that my voice had quivered. He said that I came across very confident and self-assured, and he had full trust and respect for what I was saying. Not once did he hear my voice quiver, yet in my mind I told him that my voice was quivering between this point and this point, and he said it was not evident. And from that point forward, that's when I started to notice when my ego had kicked in, and I noticed that it was all going on in my head. Nobody else could see it or experience it. It was all going on in here, and it was all coming from those fear-based thoughts. So if you're experiencing some sort of social anxiety, either before you're going into it, so let's say maybe a week or a day or a few hours before you're actually going into some sort of situation where there's a social element to it. It could even be when you're there and in the moment. Here's what to do. Here's what to notice and how to work through it. First thing is, notice what's going through your mind. And this is great, especially if you're thinking about social anxiety before you're going into an event. What is going through your mind? What are the thoughts that are going through your mind about that particular experience? For instance, are you worried about other people's expectations and that you might not meet them? Are you worried about what other people are going to think of you? Think about what's going through your mind, because when you become aware of what's going through your mind, that's when you can start to really take charge of the social anxiety that you're experiencing. So become more aware, figure out what's going on beforehand. Once you've figured out what those thoughts are and what's going through your mind and what it is that you're worried about, then you can work out how to be more comfortable and at ease in that situation. So for instance, if you're worried about expectations, why not bring up and address those unspoken expectations? It's like dealing with the elephant in the room, okay? Say it, take charge of it, lead it, let them know what it is that they can expect from you. And then you can have a discussion around it. If you're worried about where you're going to be meeting, let's say you've never been there before, why not go and check it out beforehand? And if you've not spoken to that person before and you're worried about actually meeting them face to face for the very first time, why not get them on the phone, have a quick conversation with them, talking to them about where you're going to meet, and get them on the phone and feel more comfortable in their presence before you even go to meet them. There's loads of little things that you can do to be more comfortable and at ease in that situation. And the third thing that I want to mention is, and I think this is the most important, is to work on the beliefs that are creating the anxiety in the first place. Because when you work on those beliefs and you reprogram those beliefs, that's when you'll start to notice the social anxiety dissipating. It will slowly drift away. Let me talk to you about a few beliefs that I've noticed crop up quite frequently when it comes to social anxiety. I'm not good enough. I'm not young enough. I'm not old enough. I'm not skinny enough. I'm not fat enough. I'm not experienced enough. Some sort of I'm not enough is going on. Another couple, I'm not worthy. I don't deserve it. I'm unlovable. I'm a failure. These are all examples of beliefs that may come up and be triggered when you're thinking about going into a social situation. And the important thing here with beliefs is to take yourself through a process. First of all, figure out what the belief is. Then figure out where it's come from, because more often than not, it's not yours. It's not your belief. We were conditioned in childhood. Your beliefs have been given to you before the age of 6 or 7 years old. Figure out where this belief has come from. What happened? What was the situation that triggered it? And then once you've figured out where it's come from, then process it. By processing it, there's a few different elements to it, but one of the main things with processing is figure out where it's come from. Think about what meaning you attached to it at the time. So 6, 7-year-old eyes, or whatever age you were, what meaning did you attach to it? Look at it objectively with adult eyes. And then think, okay, what are the other perspectives here? What else might I have internalized that as? Think about all the different options and then attach new meaning to it. So decide which one of those perspectives you want to attach to it instead. Which one's more soul nurturing and loving and kind and beautiful and feels good to your soul. Figure out what that new meaning is going to be. And then you can let it go. You can let go of the old belief and bring in the new meaning. You can reprogram it with the new intention that you wanted to hold from here on in with that belief. So let go of the old one. Now this is a really important process. Work through the beliefs, because if you don't work through the beliefs, when you get triggered, your ego will kick in and those fear-based thoughts will come back in. Remember, it's all in your head. It is all in your head. No other people can see it. Let me talk to you about how to let it go. I'm currently working on an audio inspiration track. It's a 2-minute track. It's going to take you from feeling low in confidence, and it's going to help you to build your confidence in 2 minutes and raise your vibration so you can let it go. This is all about how to let it go. 2-minute audio inspiration track. You can currently pre-register for it. It's free. I'm working on it at the moment. To pre-register for it, go onto my website, which is www.ginabattye.com. You'll see a bar at the top. Put in your details and I'll notify you as soon as it becomes released. It's going to be very exciting. I'm looking forward to releasing it and letting you have a listen to it, letting me know what you think. Okay, so social anxiety. Don't forget, social anxiety happens when you go from living in your spirit, living from your soul, and you're triggered by a situation that takes you into your ego, where you start to experience fear-based thoughts. It is all going on in your mind. Work out what is going on in your mind, reprogram those beliefs, and you will have freedom from social anxiety. We're going to be continuing this conversation over on Facebook Live on Wednesday at 4 p.m. We go live every Wednesday, 4 p.m. on my Facebook page, and we will be talking about social anxiety in more details. I would love to hear your thoughts and your experiences about social anxiety. What happens for you? What do you experience? Talk to me about it. You can write your comments in the box below. If you've got any questions, I'll pick them up and I'll answer them live on the Soul Work check-in, which is Wednesday 4 PM. I'll put the details in the box below. It'd be awesome if you can join us. And don't forget, the next episode of the Soul Work comes out on Sunday at 7 PM. Keep an eye out for it. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care. Bye for now.